Now, Crown Jewel just went off the air, and I didn't see it, but the one common complaint a lot of fans have is with Roman Reigns and the fact that he keeps constantly getting help to win his matches. It's like, he has a good match with an opponent, probably gives them the best match of their career, as far as whoever they may be, or their WWE tenure in some cases. But it's like it always ends up being the same thing over and over again. It's like there's no variety. And I can understand that. It's very repetitive. But let's not forget one thing. We got to go back to the 90s, to the NWO days. Hulk Hogan, when he was Hollywood Hogan, when he was champion, how many times before he finally lost the Sting and for a week, lost the championship to Luger, how many times did he have interference watching his back? How many times did he have the NWO until, pretty much, the company had enough, or pretty much, the talent had enough? In story, how many times did the NWO interfere on his behalf? How many? A lot, right? Let's go back to Evolution. Now, let's fast forward. Let's go to Evolution. Let's go to Evolution. Triple H's reign of terror, if you will. How many times did he have help from Batista, Ric Flair, Randy Orton in retaining his world title? Many times, right? It's all about building to your moment. It's all about storytelling and building to the moment. You see, basically, in this kind of a scenario, what will it have eventually in common with those previous ones? What it will have in common is eventually the baby faces, if not the authority figures, face or tweener or heel, will pretty much say enough's enough. You got to prove you can be a champion, you can retain on your own. So that's what it's leading towards. It's leading towards Roman Reigns eventually being put into a situation to where even he can't get out of. I mean, if he is going to be facing Cody at WrestleMania, Cody's going to be like, hey, here's what's going to happen. It's going to be me, you, no interference. And he might say it's Hell in a Cell. Or he might say it's an Iron Man match. Or whatever the case might be, to ensure at least there's a good chance, a believable chance, that Roman Reigns will lose. But it's all about building to that moment where pretty much everybody has had enough. They pretty much know, yeah, this is going to happen, and we need to find a way to stop it. And that's the situation here. Whether we like to acknowledge it or not, that's what's going on. Whether it's becoming repetitive and nauseous to us, in a way, nauseously repetitive, I should say. That's what it's building towards. It's building to that moment to where Roman is going to be put into a situation where he is, basically forced to prove himself on his own that he can that he can retain his title against opponents. And you know what? From a from a continuity standpoint, from a bloodline story perspective, it might be the elders that are like, hey, Roman, enough's enough. Every time you defend your title, you're always getting our family involved to help you. That's not what a tribal chief is supposed to do. A tribal chief is supposed to fight his own battles. So maybe the bloodline, maybe the elders of the bloodline come in and say, enough's enough, Roman. This time you're on your own against whoever it might be. It might be WrestleMania against Cody. It might be a rematch with LA Knight. It might be Kevin Owens. Who knows? But they're going to put him into that scenario where he's got to prove his worth as tribal chief by fighting a battle without help. And maybe there's stakes. Maybe there's consequences if he tries to rely on that old trick. Maybe they tell him that, hey, if you try to get help from Solo or for Jimmy or from whoever, then you will be exiled from, the Samoan dynasty. Or those that help you will be exiled from the Samoan family, Samoan dynasty. There's got to be stakes to go along with it to ensure that Roman has to basically go out there, do his own thing, and just and just see what happens. Just see what happens. And if maybe the story calls for him to prove on his own, hey, I can do this, no help whatsoever, then so be it. If it shows that, hey, he's going to take a loss but not lose the title by DQ countout, then then that will also prove that maybe he's not everything he's cracked up to be. Maybe the elders start questioning whether or not they made the right choice. It's up to it's up to how they're going to get to that conclusion, to that moment. But despite how we feel about the constant repetitive, nauseous repetitiveness of the interference helping Roman win, as of late, again, we have to remember it's all about building the story and building to the moment that basically, it's either going to come from within the bloodline, the elders, or it's going to come from the baby faces, maybe the authority figures that are like, enough's enough. You have enough, like, enough's enough of this BS. You have to prove it on your own. And look, I know people like JD and Solomonster and Just Alex and others are sick and tired of it, this repetitiveness. But again, they of all people should know that this is all about building to that moment to where pretty much, whatever plans, Roman has to try to keep his title, via interference are going to come back to bite him. It's going to catch up to him. And it's going to be soon. It's going to be soon. And you know what they say? Patience is everything. And that the wait is, and that basically patience is everything. And the end result will be worth the wait. That's all. You just gotta look at it like, the patience is gonna pay off, and that's about it. You just gotta look at it that way, and I guarantee you, whatever patience is paid off, it's gonna be worth that wait. It is gonna be worth that wait in the end. So, again, I know it seems a little nauseous, a little, irritating that this is always happening. It's always repetitive. But again, to me, it's going to build to that moment. It's going to build to that moment, and we'll see what happens. Maybe with War Games, they add stipulations if they're going to put the Judgment Day and members of the Judgment Day, like Roman and Solo and Jay in there, along with Finn and Damian against a team consisting of Cody, Sammy, Kevin, Jay, Seth, if you will. Maybe there's a stipulation that states, hey, if if a member of the Judgment Day loses, then Judgment Day disbands. If someone on the Bloodline part of that team loses, then whoever gets the pinfall on either Roman or Solo or Jimmy, they get to name the they get a shot, I should say, at Roman in the future, and they can name the stipulation. That could be one way to get around this whole repetitiveness of, Roman always having, help, to retain his title. And we also got to look at it this way. Contractually, maybe he had to put into his contract, like, he's going to always have interference in his matches until a certain time. Maybe that's contractually, legitimately what he put into his contract. We don't really know. But outside of that, it's all about being patient and just building to the moment to where pretty much everybody's had enough. Again, it either comes from within the bloodline and, from the elders, and they say, Roman, you got to prove your worth on your own. Or, it comes from the baby faces overall, and if not from the authority, figures that are there. Okay, enough's enough of this crap, enough of this BS. You're gonna have to start fighting your own battles. We'll see. But it's building to that moment. It's building towards it to where just when you think it's gonna be a repeat again of what's happened before, that's pretty much when, you'll get shocked. You'll get surprised. So again, I think it's all worth the wait. I think it's gonna be all worth the wait, and we just gotta have patience with it and tolerance for it. So let me know what your thoughts are, guys, and I'll talk to y'all later.